I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents.
Song, dance, and celebration. It's a Christmas party for a special group of people.
If we can come together for one day and make everybody happy for that one day, it's worthwhile.
An opportunity to provide care and dignity in the season of giving.
Our motto is families helping families.
And the art of preparation. It's the Bible in brushstrokes.
Then they set out for Bethlehem, and here the kings have arrived, and you see they're in adoration before the Christ child.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. More than 54 million people in the U.S. have some form of disability. And although they have special needs, they also have the same basic needs that everybody else has, like the love and companionship of friends and good family.
And a group of friends from St. Francis Prep Mothers Guild in Fresh Meadows, Queens, got together this past weekend to hold a Christmas party for those with special needs. And they had it all, singing, dancing, even a chamber orchestra. Good music, I'm there, right?
Yeah.
If you're not already in the Christmas spirit, get ready and have a look.
The way the party starts is they're greeted outside by members of the Fathers Guild and Santa Claus, and they make their way into the facility. They're greeted by students coming into the door who are usually singing Christmas carols as they come in, and we set them up with breakfast, and the students will start to mingle and talk with the guests as the party goes on.
The party was created about 22 years ago by Sister Joseph Agnes, who believed that there should be St. Francis Prep should have a holiday party for those people in the community who really don't get a chance to celebrate Christmas and who do have special needs. Most of the people here, they're from all over the city, and basically they come from homes. Many of them have cerebral palsy, many of them autism, varying degrees. Many of them are mentally challenged and other types of handicaps and disabilities, and they come from all over the city. We have people from the Bronx, from Manhattan, all over the surrounding areas of Queens.
This is my girlfriend Chrissy, and I'm Michael Cyrus.
Michael Cyrus.
I like the most about the party is that it's not all the entertainment.
I like the dancing.
This now allows for the students to see that there are other people out there who need help, who need to be happy, and who don't have the luxuries that a lot of us have. And it really brings the community together.
We usually escort the people with special needs. We talk to them, and it's nice to see a smile on their face because it's difficult to fathom how some of these people don't have any, family anymore, and just putting a smile on their face is a great feeling.
It's a good feeling that we can do something for the people that aren't as fortunate as we are, and that have stories that we may have never heard before, and that we want, we hear and we say, hey, there are a lot of people out there with a lot of different situations in their lives, and if we can come together for one day and make everybody happy for that one day, it's worthwhile.
We make sure that every guest does have a gift, and that's, again, donated by volunteers and organizations throughout the 5 boroughs in the city. It is actually one of the highlights of the school year. It's an entire community event.
Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, even if they're not Christian or Catholic or whatever. Just everybody around the world, a Merry Christmas.
I love that.
That's so cool. That's awesome. People really coming together to make a difference in people's lives.
It's so amazing. They're having more fun than I've had in a while.
I know.
They're figuring out how to do the Macarena. I think I forgot that one a long time ago.
I forgot that about 1996.
We got couples, boyfriends, and girlfriends here. I don't know.
So just to see
they're
the smiles.
They're way ahead of me. I don't know about disability there.
Right, exactly. Seriously. But I mean, just to see the smiles on people's faces. There's such a heartwarming thing.
And so nice that the kids give back. The
Exactly.
students really give back, and they get out a lot from it too, I'm sure.
Definitely. Such a cool thing. Well, stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up straight ahead.
When we return, the day's headlines, including an atheist group that is none too happy with Brooklyn's bishop. We'll tell you what they're planning.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up just a bit later, the art of Advent.
But first, let's have a look at today's headlines. Well, a group of atheists says it will sue the Diocese of Brooklyn over robocalls made by Bishop DiMarzio ahead of last month's general election. The pre-recorded calls were made on behalf of State Assemblyman Vito Lopez, who was not on the ballot in November. Still, the atheist group says the calls are a major violation of the separation of church and state. We contacted the diocese today, and a spokesman emphasized that no lawsuit has been yet filed, and he said that there's no further comment from the diocese. But when Monsignor Kieran Harrington appeared on Currents before the election to talk about those same calls, here's what he had to say.
What it's important to know is that the person who made the robocalls for, Vito Lopez, is not running for election in November, so he's not on the ballot this November. But he had been very, very helpful to us on a specific piece of legislation in the last legislative session, and the bishop thanked him for his support on that piece of legislation. And he did so because there were many of our opponents were out criticizing him. And it's important that when a person allies himself with you and is supportive of you on a particular issue, that you recognize that support. That doesn't mean we agree with Vito on all the issues. In fact, we disagree with him on some very important and critical issues. Right. But the important thing is that when someone does something which has cost them a great deal, you have to thank them, and that's what the bishop did.
Well, reports say that the atheist group will ask that the diocese tax-exempt status be revoked because of those calls. A Christmas and Hanukkah display outside a Brooklyn grocery store is gone. No, the menorah and Christmas tree were not stolen. They were taken down by the store's manager. If you drive through the quiet Brooklyn neighborhood of Windsor Terrace, you'll see holiday displays of every shape and size along the street. That is, except for the Key Food store on Prospect Avenue. A holiday display was put up there on Sunday, but by Monday, it was gone. The manager of the store says he received complaints about the display, and a lot of them. Callers angry over the fact that a menorah was included alongside a Christmas tree. The manager has been quoted as saying he was afraid the menorah would be vandalized. But customers we spoke to said that's no reason for the display to be taken down.
I think it's the wrong move. I think this is becoming a hedonistic society, and we give in to these people. We're going to be in a pretty bad state of affairs.
Reports say this was the second year the menorah had been placed outside the Key Food store, but last year the display remained up throughout the holidays. Many believe that's how it should be in such a diverse city.
With so much different religions and ethnic backgrounds here, everybody should have, part of their customs or culture, here. This is New York. Everybody should have a chance or, see something of theirs up here.
Residents in Windsor Terrace say people usually get along just fine here.
Pretty much happy and content with, the neighbors around here. I don't see a problem with anything of racist or, anything in that area. They should leave it up. Vandalism happens with everything.
We had a little bit more police presence. Maybe that wouldn't happen. More that they dealt with the vandals a little bit more harshly, maybe that wouldn't happen also.
Another local business owner told us off camera she has a Hanukkah display in her window. It's been there each holiday season for years and she's never had a problem. She says her display will stay up.
That's what I say. I don't see any reason why they should have taken it down.
Now, Rabbi Moshe Hecht from Shabbat House of Windsor Terrace says the Jewish community appreciates what the manager of that store has done for them in the past by putting that menorah display up, but they are disappointed in this decision to take down the display. Rabbi Hecht says the Jewish community will not be deterred by people who want to remove light from the community. Well, students on their way to Catholic schools across the city could find the trip more expensive beginning in 2011. As part of the so-called doomsday budget from the MTA that the board passed today, the free student Metro cards would be eliminated. Students and community groups protested ahead of the MTA vote, but the budget passed unanimously. There could be hope for students, though, as Governor David Patterson says he will find a way to keep the passes going. Also in the 2010 MTA budget, cutbacks to subway and bus services, including eliminating the W and Z subway lines and some bus routes. Well, evangelist Oral Roberts died yesterday from complications of pneumonia. He founded the Oral Roberts Evangelistic Association and Oral Roberts University. Roberts is also famous for being one of the first television evangelists and for popularizing the idea of prosperity gospel. That is, that your faith can be rewarded with wealth. Roberts died in a California hospital. He was 91 years old.
The Washington, D.C. City Council voted yesterday to legalize same-sex marriage in the nation's capital, but gay and lesbian couples cannot say "I do" just yet. D.C. Mayor Adrian Fenty must first sign the law, which he says he will do by the end of the week. Then Congress has 30 days to pass a joint resolution of disapproval. The president would have to sign that resolution for the law to be blocked, and some Republican lawmakers say they will try to block same-sex weddings in D.C. through other legislative means. A drawing of Jesus on the cross is causing quite a stir in Massachusetts. Reports say an 8-year-old special needs student was sent home from school and ordered to undergo psychological testing after drawing a picture of the crucified Christ. School administrators say the boy was reprimanded for sketching a violent drawing. Now, the town's mayor says school officials should apologize to the boy and his family and pay for a psychiatrist for the boy. The school district says the student was never suspended for drawing a picture of a crucifix, and they say the drawing distributed to reporters by the boy's father is not actually the one discovered by a teacher. Well, if you're a movie buff, you'll know that most successful big-budget fantasy movies might just be followed by a sequel, or even another one after that. Well, sometimes many sequels, that's right. Well, that has not been the case with the Golden Compass movie. Now, an actor from that movie says the Catholic Church is actually to blame for there not being a sequel to the film. Sam Elliott says the studio, New Line Cinema, was scared off from doing another film in the series after the Catholic Church lambasted them. The Catholic League's Bill Donahue organized opposition to the Golden Compass, but the film still made $380 million worldwide. The movie was criticized since it was based on a series of books with atheist themes. With economic uncertainty dominating the headlines, it seems many people are looking for a little inspiration. Some have found it in their faith. While other businesses are suffering, the recession has been a boon for religious merchandisers. Chris Bungard has the story of the Salt and Pepper Christian Bookstore in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Do you need this gift wrap?
Jewelry, toys, posters, music, and video are just some of the items sold here. Almost everything comes with a Christian theme.
People looking for hope. They're looking for an answer.
For Tim Davis, there's no wonder about why the store his mother started is now seeing more customers.
They get tired of the depression all the time. They get tired of hearing everything is gloom and doom. They want something to make them happy.
Oh, just browsing. My wife's in need of a new Bible.
Since being laid off from the healthcare industry, Greg Garrett often finds himself in Salt and Pepper, seeking inspiration.
Oh yeah, absolutely, always do. I'm in here a lot.
Some people prefer red letter.
I mean, a lot of people need some things to believe in, and this is a really good time of the year, actually, to do that.
The store has been in this location for 22 years. It grew to 4, but then consolidated a few years back. Now it's growing again.
But I have a catalog that has them. If you come in, we can show you the catalog.
And conversely, sales tend to dip when times are better, but for now it's paying off for Christian merchandisers.
And that is Chris Bungard reporting.
Well, stay tuned. We've got much more currents coming up. Just ahead, putting patients first and getting the word out about a unique foundation.
Circle of Hope Cancer Foundation is a nonprofit, tax-exempt organization whose mission is to help the terminally ill and their families.
Welcome back. Well, Christmas is a season of hope, and one of the organizations celebrating that is called Circle of Hope. It's a nonprofit foundation trying to help those struggling with cancer.
That's right, and they're partnering with Calvary Hospital to bring some of that hope to those who need it most desperately. To find out more, I recently sat down with Geraldine Madonia, president of the Circle of Hope Cancer Foundation. And we're so happy to have you here today, Geraldine. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, for those who might not be aware, what is the Circle of Hope?
Circle of Hope Cancer Foundation is a nonprofit, tax-exempt organization whose mission is to help the terminally ill and their families deal with it when they're hit with such a diagnosis as cancer.
Right. Yeah, I was reading on your website a little bit earlier about Circle of Hope and kind of what you do, and it really spoke to me. I actually had last year in 2008, a very dear friend of mine whose father passed away from prostate cancer. And it was a very difficult time there near the end, and he was able to get hospice care there toward the end as well. And it was a very helpful thing. So that's a very important service that's provided.
Oh, it's a very important service. The point is to get the word out, because the word cancer, palliative care, and hospice are all very scary, and people shy back.
Right.
And they think that if they don't say it out loud or if they don't look into it, they can ignore it for a little while.
Yeah.
And that's why it's our mission to try and educate the public about what is available to them, and so that they may make the best decisions for their loved one and for the family as well. You know, get serviced during such a difficult time.
Right.
And our motto is families helping families.
Oh, great.
So.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Now, you have this great partnership with Calvary Hospital,
Yes, we
I understand.
do.
Tell me a little about that.
We joined up with Calvary about 2006 after they had been into Brooklyn for a while. As you know, they have a floor in Lutheran Hospital. And we were affiliated with another organization at the time, and our missions weren't the same. So after investigating our avenue to look into hospice and who was providing the best, we went to Calvary because we looked for the best. And there are other organizations, and I don't mean to diminish them, but Calvary's been around a long time, and they seem to do it the right way.
Right.
And anybody that we've sent to them or any interactions says the same thing about it. It was a wonderful experience.
Right. Now, this, of course, is a time of year where people think a lot about giving. And what types of ways could people maybe give to Circle of Hope to really help make a difference in people's lives?
Well, they could give money, I mean, you know, like anything else. They could also give time if they would like to volunteer with us with Circle of Hope. We do put on programs during the year. We are looking for places to put programs on because we don't want to lay out the money for a studio or for an office or anything and have nobody come.
Right.
So if anybody would like to host a program put on by Circle of Hope to get more information out, we would gladly do that. Sure. Or they could just call us up. We have a website or an answering service, and get in touch with us, and we could put them in the right direction.
Cool. Well, very good. Now, you were talking a little bit about the services that Circle of Hope provides. What about maybe other types of services like going directly to the home? Because I understand from reading that there's the services that are provided at the hospital and at that hospice center there, and then there's also in-home hospice care, right?
There is no, Calvary provides in-home hospice, and then they have hospice within 3 nursing homes in Brooklyn right now. Okay, Bishop McGovern, Cobble Hill, and St. Augustine. Right across from Lutheran, because they feel, as we do too, if you live in a nursing home, that's your home. Yeah. So when you need hospice care, it should be provided there. You shouldn't have to be moved out, or nothing should be disrupted, but you should get the best care for that.
Well, very good. Now, this is a very Brooklyn-centric thing that we're talking about here. Yeah. I think that the mission's very much the same in that respect as well, that it's very focused on home and on the borough of Brooklyn.
It was this Circle of Hope Cancer Foundation was formed actually by a group of people, Brooklynites, that kept meeting people at wakes or hearing things about someone they grew up with or something like that, and they decided to create a foundation, and it would be only for the people in Brooklyn, to meet the needs of the people in Brooklyn, because there were other things available, but nobody wanted to travel to the Bronx and are out of our borough.
Right.
And now, you being a New Yorker, you can understand a little bit more about Brooklyn. Brooklyn is very unique. Brooklyn is still a neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know your neighbor next door. You know if the man across the street didn't pick up the newspaper from in front of his house for 2 days, something's wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, so we're very concentrated on that. All the funds that we raise go directly to Calvary's Brooklyn campus over in Lutheran.
Okay, well, very good. Now, it's a very good thing that you do, and thank you so much for being here today to talk about it. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
She was really sweet. That's such important service to be able to give to people that, sort of near end-of-life kind of care and attention.
Definitely. As I was telling her, one of my dear friends' fathers passed away last year from prostate cancer, and it was a tough time there at the end, but they were so glad to have hospice care there, and it's such a very important service that's provided, and another way that people can kind of give back to other folks in the borough of Brooklyn this holiday season.
Right in the neighborhood.
Well, stay with us. We have much more Currents coming up.
When we return, Advent in art. Another look at the preparation for Christmas.
There are many opportunities for us to encounter the divine in all sorts of art forms, and that this beauty and this spiritual beauty is before us all the time.
Well, when you think of Advent, you probably think of the Advent wreath, perhaps, like we have here in our studio, or maybe an Advent calendar, and of course, all the decorating and shopping and all the pre-Christmas craziness.
I know about all that. But a group of young Catholics from the Brooklyn Diocese decided to mark this season in a very different way by reflecting on and talking about something that you may not associate with Advent, art. Take a look.
For me, Advent is, I think, as for most Christians, a time of preparation, but also of awaiting the coming of Christ, the awaiting of the coming of the Christmas season. And then they set out for Bethlehem, and here the kings have arrived, and you see they're in adoration before the Christ child. The painting is filled with the entire world. You have a retinue, followers, people who are paying attention, others who are not. Christ is now revealed not only to the Jews, but to the Gentiles, to the whole world. Our young Catholic adults are in the habit of meeting on a regular basis, but they wanted something that might help them to prepare for Christmas.
Brooklyn CYA, Catholic Young Adults, we started in about early 2001. Initially, the pastoral staffs of the cluster churches in Park Slope saw a need for a group that would connect with 20 and 30-somethings, and there really wasn't an organized group of young adults for young adult Catholics in Brooklyn at that time at all. So we were actually among the first to start a regularly meeting organized group of 20 and 30-something Catholics.
It puts a spark back in my faith life at times to hear what other people have struggled with, and to know I'm not alone. There's a lot of social issues to deal with being Catholic today, and that's really reassuring to know I'm not alone in dealing with those.
What's great about these faith sharings is a way of once a week at least being able to stop for an hour or an hour and a half with your peers and discuss faith and discuss the journey to Advent in some sort of interesting or creative way.
What was nice about this was it kind of gave some quiet time to actually sit and kind of reflect on some of the interpretations of Advent that you've seen throughout history. And, it made me think a little bit about some of the ideas about preparing for the Lord coming.
People do still prepare for Christmas. They just prepare for Christmas in a very different way than what, we talk about when we talk about Advent and preparing for Christmas in that way. But I think just as with the rest of our lives, a lot of times faith has kind of taken a back seat.
Every year we're busier and busier. We just seem to have less and less time. So I think it's necessary to create certain time out, as this group has done this evening, in which we're simply going to reflect on something relating to Advent. For me, doing those kinds of things helps me to be sure I haven't let Advent slip by.
And it's always a pleasure to have Frank come talk to our group. He came and spoke to us about a year ago, a similar presentation, but dealing with the idea of sacramentals and how art can play a role in our religious lives and enhance our religious lives. So it's always a pleasure to have him, and I always learn something new and interesting that I either had forgotten or hadn't realized before.
There are many opportunities for us to encounter the divine in all sorts of art forms, and that this beauty and this spiritual beauty is before us all the time.
Such beautiful art there, and a way to make sure, as he said, that the Advent season doesn't kind of you know, kind of skip right over it.
Escape us, yeah. And it's nice to see that there's the Brooklyn, Youth Association there, group of young people right here in our community that's really sort of looking at these things and trying to incorporate their faith more in their lives through these kind of talks.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very encouraging thing that they're trying to stay that in touch with their faith and learn more about it and find out more about stuff that they didn't even know existed, which is like this Advent art. So.
And get ready for Christmas.
Well, that's it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, Francesca shares her experience with Catholic speed dating.
I do. I went on a series of speed dates over at Mustang Harry's in New York with the Catholic Fellowship and weekenddating.com. I was assigned this story, and it was fun, and it was neat. I had never done this before, so you only have 4 minutes to talk to somebody, so it's kind of hard to get to know everybody in 4 minutes.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things. It's like the good thing and the bad thing about it. You can't really get to know as much about somebody in 4 minutes. But I guess we'll find out tomorrow if you found love or not. Right?
Yes, and whether or not anyone else did too.
Okay, well, good.
It's a nice modern way for young adults to connect with a Catholic twist. Specifically, this is Catholic speed dating. You won't want to miss it. We have that much more tomorrow.
Well, meantime, get into the Christmas spirit with The Spirit of Christmas. It's a special movie coming up at 8 p.m. just after Currents. It's all part of our slate of programming for the holidays called Prime Time is Christmas Time. So stay tuned and find out how you can actually stay connected with the net all year long and help support quality programming.
And remember, you can always catch us online at currentsny.net. And until then, thanks so much for watching. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Have a great night.